All right, 4.1 is going to be broken up in about 4 or 5 videos, and we start off with just some terminology because Unit 4 is going to take us to the end of the term, and everything we do is going to deal with what we call quadratics. Now, in quadratics, the biggest exponent is going to be a 2. So this 2 is considered the degree of the function. So every one that we are going to deal with is going to have the picture that's over here on the right. That shape is called a parabola. Now, with each parabola, there's going to be a couple different things that occur. Number one, there's going to be what we call an axis of symmetry. Now, that axis of symmetry, or from here on out, I'm probably just going to write AOS, is a line that cuts that parabola directly in half. Because remember, if something is symmetric, it's like you could fold it on top of itself. All right? Then we're going to have a maximum and a minimum. Now, we've already talked about that in previous lessons, but that maximum and minimum is going to be represented by a point that we call the vertex. The vertex is a starting point for everything that we do. When you start to graph these, that's what we're going to find first. And in that vertex, we're going to have an x and a y. This x value is going to represent the axis of symmetry. And when we write that axis of symmetry, it's always going to be x equals whatever that value is, because it's an equation of a line. So you have to write the x equals. This y value is going to be a maximum or a minimum, the very top or the very bottom of a graph. The last two pieces of this, we're going to talk about the leading coefficient, which we did in Unit 3. But as you can see, we like to write quadratics with the biggest exponent first, the squared, and then an x, and then a number. We call that standard form. That's just common. You go x squared, then an x, then a number. The leading coefficient is this a value, and this is the number that tells us sorry about that, trying to erase that, that tells us whether our picture is going to be going upwards, which would be that it's a positive number out front, or if it's going to be pointing upside down, which would give us a negative out front. That's what that a value is going to do. And last but not least, we're going to have our zeros. That's how we describe them in Unit 3. But also we're going to start using some other names for it. We can call them roots, we can call them x-intercepts, and we can also call them solutions. These are where our graph hits the x-axis. So all four of those terms, roots, zeros, x-intercepts, and solutions, mean the same thing for what we're going to do with quadratics.